first step a construction firm should take to begin their ERP search?
So when you have that project sponsor, who really is the most vital person of the whole project, and that actually raises a whole nother topic of how do you choose the project sponsor? And I would say they kind of choose themselves. There usually is this person who's most interested in change, and they're just curious about it. Maybe they've called some vendors, they've done the research, but there is somebody who's like an internal champion or driver. But then getting multiple people to work with that individualistic core team is absolutely essential. But having the feedback from the different departments to really understand their real pain points. I can't say real enough. I want to say it 10 more times because it's so easy for even the pursuit team, say the sales team, to say, well, we don't really need anything. I mean, we're fine. We've been doing this for 20 years. We don't need to automate our information. Or I think most sales organizations know there's benefits in sharing contacts and things like that. But when you think about the long-term viability of the organization, it might be better to have systems in place and contacts that can be tracked across individuals. So for understanding the whole organization's needs, literally at a high level, do not go deep yet, is the first thing I would do before I'm starting that selection process formally. Then you have a framework that you're working from and can start engaging vendors from there.
Perfect, thank you. So moving, down the selection process further, how important is it to have, for the ERP to have kind of industry specific functionality versus say a generic ERP platform?
There are quite a few generic ERP platforms out there, and there's organizations, companies that have built these out to being pretty big, and sometimes they'll have sort of vertical focuses to them. But what you run into is the amount of resources that they're putting into that vertical solution is limited. And not only that, they may be relying on partners for those solutions too, which are even usually smaller organizations. And that might work for some. But oftentimes in our companies that we work with in the construction industry, most construction technical people, so say from the IT department or from even the office of the CFO, they really know what they want. And they're used to talking to their subcontractors or to GCs or other industry vendors that really understand them. And so when they start conversing with somebody who doesn't understand them, you lose credibility. And so having somebody who, a sales team specifically, but also the technology architects and other individuals in the implementation side that really know the industry, it gives a lot more certainty and credibility to the project. But probably more importantly, they actually do understand the problems that a construction company is going through. So we have had times where we can do a general solution, but usually that company has just very lightweight requirements. And so they might be able to do a system that is frankly less expensive, quicker to implement, but it only does the basics of say accounting and AP and AR and billing and more simple things. But when we get into like an integrated payroll solution with Davis-Bacon, or we get into again the project job costs down to the level that most of our clients want, you really are desirous of a partner that has been through those problems and has solved those problems before. So you're not the first one that they're building that on. So that's where we usually have.
So when you're looking at a long list of features, how do you determine or identify what are the must-have versus the nice-to-have features and functionality?
That is a really good question, because when the software selection takes place, usually, not with us, by the way, it's pretty fun to talk about this. Usually, teams feel that it's appropriate to get a whole list of functionality. And then, oh, there's so much here. Well, what's really like mandatory, critical, must have, right? And then what's nice to have. And then some organizations will take it even further, right? Well, this is optional, or this is like, in case there's a rainy day kind of functionality, right? You get like these 10 different criteria. That's overstating it. But of course, we should have some idea of what is absolutely required. And then things that aren't. But I will tell you this, I have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of selections over almost 30 years in the industry. There's very few people, frankly, on the planet that have done as much in enterprise software for mid-sized organizations as me. I'm trying to change that with my team. I want them to do it all, and they are, which is beautiful. But what I have found over and over and over is it becomes this exercise of wasted time of prioritizing requirements. What I mean is, of course, there's the core flows, use cases, business processes. Like we need to know, as I said earlier, what do we really need here? And if you look at a construction company from the original bid and the costs of materials, if we're that sort of a construction company, there's so much diversity in construction companies. So I'll just talk about basics. So we put together a bid. Of course, there's the labor, there's the material, right? There's overhead profitability that goes into that. If we can track that to actual purchase orders that we've done in purchasing and see what the variance is, and then we can start doing the work and we have actual labor. We have committed costs. We've got all the cost structure that goes with that. Then we have invoicing, whether it's percent complete or however we invoice, right? The system helps to drive all that through collections. And then ultimately we're tracking the work in progress and where inventory is and which resources are on which project. We might have subcontractors, we might have other vendors that are doing work on our behalf. We have construction documents, we have safety and regulatory requirements that we have, right? And we of course have to pay people. There's all these kind of core functions that you go through all the way through to collections ultimately, and like completing a project and then servicing a project. That's a basic life cycle of construction companies. There's core processes that everybody just kind of knows needs to get done. And we just kind of know it. That's perfect. Then the opposite side of the spectrum is, well, there's things that somebody really, really wants, but we're not really sure we need them as an organization, right? Then there's all the stuff in the middle. And I'm telling you, if you can catch your core processes, guaranteed with modern systems like CMiC, you will get almost everything else that you need. So what we drive our clients to do is to really hone in on what do you really need for like phase one? What's the minimum viable product that you have to have? And it's basically what we did before, plus whatever our major pain points are solved that technology can solve, right? If we have a problem with our bids are wrong. Well, is that because we just don't know how to bid in this new world of speed, or is it because we actually don't have up to date on costing, right? So if we can solve those problems, the modern system will solve almost everything else. Now, inevitably, right? And I have stories that I can tell you. We're not going to do that here, where we do get into an application. I know my team knows it's the right app. The client knows, but then bam, they run into something and they're like, what? That's not how we work. You said this in the demo and da 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 da. And we just sort of have to remind our clients, like, hey, look, if you have a significant other, are they perfect? I know they're not. I mean, I'm as close to that as you can get. I think she would say the same about me. Probably not. But but like there's issues with every app. Every single app is going to have some gap, and unfortunately, no matter how much homework you do up front and how much implementation, discovery, and analysis, and I'm just being totally honest here, there will be something where like, what in the world do you want me to change my business around that function? And I think most vendors, like we work with you all, it's like, we're going to do this, we can customize that. You have the ability to do that. Some vendors don't. But ultimately, it's like at a cost. Right? So you have to keep this concept of what do you really need in mind, because if you can do that and you can be successful with that, you will be light years ahead of focusing on this nice to have functionality that we have to put in or we can't go live. We have one construction company, frankly, not with you guys, that the implementation has been pushed out because of that exact reason. They're trying to customize and customize and customize. And it's led to some major problems. And so we're really hammering on them. Actually, we've kind of even backed off because I don't think we can influence them enough at this point to say, take the app as it is. It's 10 times better than what you had. Grow into this thing. And then we can enhance this as we go. Once you really know how it works and operates, then you can decide, okay, do we really, really need this thing? Because today, you don't have anything, it's all me. So those are some things I'd say about selections.
I agree, progress over perfection, as they say.
Exactly.
Continuing on down the line of features and functionality. What are the top 3 to 5 or few capabilities that firms should not compromise on?
Especially in today's environment, I can think of 4 specific things that are really like must-haves, like non-negotiables. You've got to do this. Definitely the flow of information through the entire construction enterprise, right? You have to have a system that gives you visibility from proposal and bid all the way through to what's actually built, and everything that happens within there. Like it's absolutely mandatory because we see our clients being pushed harder and harder by their clients. They're being asked to do bigger projects, more complex projects. And so as they start doing newer kinds of things, they do need to have that visibility across the whole life cycle of a project to see where they're actually at. And that raises the second point, which is the more real time the data is, the better. And we've been talking about that for decades in enterprise software, but I think we're actually able to bring that to construction organizations now through solutions like you guys, where we can pull in information from external sources. We're working with one client that's pulling in monthly costing information from their vendors, their subcontractor, they install equipment, and the equipment cost changes all the time. So by the time you send out a proposal and it gets signed, it might be 180 days later. Well, the cost changed in that time. So being able to pull real-time information from other systems and integrations is vital so that we have that real-time visibility. The third thing is we are in an era where users are very used to remote access. They're used to doing things on phones and tablets and in the field, durable laptops and that. So having a system that's sort of architected around the user experience specific for a construction company can make a huge difference. We had talked earlier about some organizations, some software companies are more of a horizontal, they work across industry, but I think having that focus on knowing what construction people need from not just the PM who's in the field, but from the field worker, from the people that are on the job and the foreman who has to put in their time, or those are really real constraints that can lead to make or breaking the system. So really understanding the use cases of how construction people use their software is key. And the last one I would say is we really are on a precipice here of major change in enterprise software. Many of our clients are impacted, many of our construction clients are impacted by this very positively because they're busier than they've ever been with some form of build out of the infrastructure around AI. I'm not talking the hardware, I'm talking about the data centers, the facilities, the construction that's occurring throughout really the world and I guess soon in space. That's really cool. But many of our clients are doing different kinds of projects with the hyperscalers or with other service providers that are within those ecosystems that are building out the new data centers. So I only bring that up because the fourth point is you have to have a vendor who is thinking with the AI capability and functionality within their application. So having a vendor that has a strong development team and they have research and development dollars that are actually available to put into new development that we might not see a return on investment for a while, but starting to put in AI into the solution, working through those use cases so that it makes it even easier for construction users of the software to do their jobs. That's ultimately the 4 things I'd say.
Perfect, thank you. So how should companies evaluate cloud versus on-premise solutions today?
That's an interesting question because cloud versus on-premise solution deployment, while it would seem like, oh, wow, everybody just goes in the cloud, that's not true. We have clients that have specific security requirements with the federal government, where we do have to have specific kinds of deployments that are usually available in the cloud. But sometimes our clients are more risk adverse to that, and they would rather have their own even private cloud deployment where they're managing, working with their own data center and putting in their own sort of infrastructure. So that is a factor that organizations really need to take a look at. The second point is, and something I think that's pretty unique to CMiC too, though, is the amount of customizations that an organization requires can drive which deployment they will go with. So if we can use an out-of-the-box solution is available in a cloud deployment, then the cloud first deployment model makes a ton of sense. But especially some of our clients, our construction clients that are used to having very custom systems already, right? This is that makes me smile to think about this, that believe it or not, the deployment decision has less to do with the software and more to do with the organization's like drive towards building out solutions that are custom to them. And I've had the conversations with many management teams, owners, to say, this path that we're going down in terms of customization. So usually come to us where they've been on an old whatever instance of something for 20 years. Well, why didn't you upgrade it? I know the answer. But I sort of have to play dumb sometimes. Like, so why didn't you upgrade this? Oh, well, we built these customizations. And so when we applied the patches, it broke the app. So we had to just get off the maintenance stream. And now we're on our own path. But we don't want to do that again. And is to listen, of course, to whoever's saying this, right? But then to listen to all of the opinion leaders in the organization and determine if that's real or not. Because sometimes it's just not real. We had a client that did go with a cloud deployment. And from a cost perspective and an implementation timeline, frankly, it took less effort and less time to get into the solution, which is exactly what they needed to do. And now they're looking at going on-prem because they really do want to enhance the systems to be exactly matched to their business. Because when you think about cloud-based solutions, and I'm talking like pure cloud, I'm not talking about like a private cloud kind of situation. But when you go with a pure cloud solution where multiple companies are using the same base of software, of course their instances are separate, their data is separate, but the app is the app is the app. And of course it can be configured and met to their needs, but you can't change it in certain areas. So this client started with that, which was a miracle to even get them live on that, to be totally honest with you. There was so much data and so much process and change issues that we had to go through just to get them live, which was beautiful. And now they're enhancing the system. They love the system. They want to do more with it. And so now they're actually going to take the app back and put it in a private cloud. So they're not going to host it on premise, right? They don't have that expertise. They do know that. So it'll still be accessed remotely, and I won't get into all the details of cloud deployments, but it's secure and they have the ability to extend the platform. And I mean, frankly, there aren't a lot of software vendors that provide that option other than you all in this category. So it's something that we look at when we're talking to our clients about, oh yeah, we don't want to customize and everything else. We're like, okay, they're going to be customized a lot. So that's okay if it's controlled and it's understood and they know that it comes with cost and risk. And if that can be managed, then that's all.
Okay, thank you. So what should companies look for in terms of integration capability?
Integration in the construction industry is vital. If a solution doesn't already have, not just, oh, we integrate with other project management systems, let's say, or even HR systems and payroll, there's many document sharing hub type solutions where we have to put out construction documents for others to see. If they're not talking with those concepts, they don't understand the industry. So you could almost use the integration strategy that a construction management solution offers as a way to gauge that vendor's viability of solution. So I really mean that. There are so many integrations that our construction companies are doing today than they did 5 years ago, even before COVID. But now there's so many, and I think in the future there's going to continue to be. So as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at how we can help a client to get more real-time costing information into their system so that they can make better decisions. And that's all data coming from the vendors. So without those APIs in place, or even the tools, or even at the lower level, just the approach on how to handle integrations, right? So if we have pre-built APIs into the app, like that's great, there needs to be that technology, but what if you have some other integration that's just totally different? And the vendor hasn't even built in the base infrastructure. So I think it's a great thing to use as a, frankly, when you're shopping the systems, is to ask, okay, so tell me a little bit more about your integration strategy, right? What kind of APIs do you have? Do you support the different SOAP and WSDL and whatever other technologies are out there that are more prevalent today? And if the vendor comes back with kind of a cloudy story, that tells you a lot about their capability. And then when you need something now or in 5 years, they might not be able to do it for you.